And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
If you watch my top 100 this year, you'll know that Kemet has moved into my top 10 games. I think this game is an amazing game of combat and technology and back and forth. It is just really one of the best combinations of a game that has ever been designed, and I really enjoy it. So when I heard about this expansion, and I heard about this expansion way last year, and I try not to think about things in the future, right? Because there's so many games out there now. But I was excited about this, especially when I heard it added a fourth color. And I was looking forward to seeing this last year, but did not come last year. It came out this year, finally. So I was very eager to play this. This comes with several modules. I believe there's 5 modules in this game that you can add. Some are minuscule modules, but there's 2 major new modules, a new color and priests. Let's take a look at what the game adds. The first module here involves adding new battle cards and new divine intervention cards. Each player gets 2 new battle cards. One of them is pretty simple. +1 attack, +1 death, and 3 defense. So you want a good defensive card, now you have one. You want a super powerful attack card, now they give you a 5 attack card. However, when the battle is over, and not until, you then lose 2 of your troops. So this is more of a desperation tactic. And this card I like having in the game because essentially the weaker player can sit there and go, you know what I can do here? Scorched Earth. Now the new Divine Intervention cards, this one here is a great one. Lets you get a card from the discard pile secretly. You can switch your 2 cards when you attack someone after you see what they've played. Add 1 to your movement. And then these 3 cards I find very interesting. Essentially you play these in a battle. And you say, if I win this battle, I'll get 4 prayer points. If I win this battle, I'll take no damage, although it doesn't count for that 5 card. And if I win this battle, then I'll get 3 units, and I can put them in my cities or existing troops. So these are fun cards, and it is an easy one to add. Now, there is another module added, one that I'm not really fond of, and that is basically a new way to determine turn order. At the beginning of each round, players will be playing 2 battle cards from their hands. Essentially, they're having a battle. And whoever plays the highest amount, they're discarding 1 as normal, like in a normal battle, and then the other one counts for their battle. And then they'll look at that number, and whoever plays the highest number will go first. Whenever you lose a battle during the course of the game, you're going to get one of these tokens, which can be flipped over and be 2. These tokens can only be used in this battle to determine turn order. And it's an interesting idea, but I found that it really kind of bogs the game down, and battles are fun and interesting. This is not nearly as fun and interesting. I think it's still best whoever has fewest victory points decides who goes first, or what turn order they go in, etc. But you're not here to hear about that, right? There's also another module that has another way to win the game, which essentially just it gives you rules for winning the game in the middle of a turn rather than at the end of a turn. Whatever, not a big deal. But you want to know about the Black Pyramids, right? Which, incidentally, are not as black as I would have preferred. This one here is actually pretty white. I guess they had a hard time probably finding just straight black dice, which would have been nice. If I ever find big black 4-sided dice, I'll probably replace them in the game. But, whatever. Now, let's take a look at the new black tiles. So there are several new black tiles that are included. This is a new color. Now, the way black works is you're going to be replacing one of the colors if you decide to take it. At the beginning of the game, you can pick, I want red, blue, and black. I want red, white, and blue. I want blue, white, black. You can pick whichever ones you want. You're going to have one color you can't build. Unless you capture someone else's pyramid, then you can use that to build the other color. Which sounds really cool, but ends up probably not happening as much as you might think. It can happen. And the game actually comes with little tokens to place on your main board to cover up one of the spots to show that you can build a black pyramid. So black allows you to build a new color. Now, if you remember from the original game, red was all about attacking, blue was about defense, and white was other stuff. Well, black is kind of like other stuff also. It's another version of white. There's some attacking and some defense stuff in here. You'll see there's a lot of ways to get extra tokens, another spot to get a victory point. another silver token, and then gold tokens that go in specific places. But there's also monsters. Now realize, as I show you these monsters, that mine have been painted by one of my friends. These do not come painted. But this guy here gives +1 attack and movement, and to attack the unit he's in, a player has to use 2 prayer points. That's pretty good, but not as good as she is. This flying sphinx here adds 2 to attack, and she can teleport from an obelisk. That's a huge thing. That basically lets her teleport all over the place, all over the map. But still not the coolest. We have the Devourer. The Devourer essentially adds 2 to attack and 1 to movement, and for each 2 enemy troops that he kills, he gets a victory point. Yeah! Alright, that's pretty cool. And so your opponents will fear the Devourer. The game also comes with 2, in this set, there's a set of 3 female mercenaries and a set of 3 male mercenaries, which are essentially the exact same. It's just to differentiate them on the board. And when you pick these, you essentially get 3 more troops, which is cool because the number of troops in Kemet is limited. You only have 12, so this essentially gives you 15, and this alone makes me consider taking black. Here, whenever you add a troop, you can add them anywhere on the board, not just to one of your troops that's already out there. Here, whenever not to one of your, just to one of your pyramids, you can go right straight out to a troop. Here, whenever one of your guys is killed, you get a prayer point. Here, whenever you attack somebody, you automatically get 2 prayer points. This is a cool defensive one where your opponent will lose a troop whenever they attack you, which will make them consider that. Here, whenever you get prayer points, you get 1 extra prayer point. And then my favorite tile, all your troops get +1 attack, +1 damage, and +1 movement. That's really neat. But that's not all. There's more. So now we add priests to the game. Each player is going to get 3 priests. The 3 priests are differentiated by their bottoms. They have different shapes, but it doesn't really matter that much. They're all placed over here. Now what players are going to do, whenever they choose the movement action on their board, before they attack with their army or move with that army, whatever they're doing, they can take one of their priests and they can move them along a path here to the next city. And then they stop. If they're already on a city, they can move to a next one. Like this. You can move these priests around. You can start another priest instead of moving one that's already on the board. When the priest gets to a certain area on the board, they have the option of just stopping and doing nothing, or they can take whatever's there. If they take whatever's there, then they get returned back to the beginning. So players are going to be, moving along. Obviously, the stuff gets better later on, but you have to wait for that. If they go all the way to the Ta-Seti itself, you can get a victory point. All right. Now, as you move these guys across and take these different items, sometimes when you're moving them on the board itself, like if you move on these 3, you get a prayer point here. Here you have to pay 1. You get a prayer point on these. You also get a bonus that can be used in that battle that you're going into right then and there. These are items. There are level 1 items and there are level 2 items. Items can be used before battles. In battles, just like cards. So this one here essentially gives you a +1 attack. This one gives you 2 cards. This one cancels the ability on an opponent's tile for that round. So these can be pretty powerful items. And if you see, as you get to the end, you might get more. And by the way, each of these boards has a flip side to it. So there's different ways that this map can be put together. And at the end of a player's turn, once they've taken a tile, the tiles are replaced from a pile. Now these tiles are amazing tiles. When you take one of these, this is an ability tile. This becomes an ability of that priest. That priest is immediately transported to the board. He replaces one of your regular troops, and whenever he figures, and whenever he's with a troop, that troop has the special ability that you've taken. So here I've taken +1 defense. So this priest, wherever he is now, has +1 defense. Let's say later on I said cancel 1 damage. I'll put that with my +1 defense, and now both my priests that are out on the board, they both have +1 defense and cancel 1 damage. And then let's say later on I get this one over here, which is +1 movement. Now all 3 of my priests have all 3 of these abilities. Now I can give up one of my priests and bring them back on the board and do things, but this, you can really stack the abilities of each of your priests, and in effect, they are customizable monsters. And so that's really good use here. And again, you'll move this every time you do the move action. You do this first, then you'll do the move action on the regular board. Okay, the mini modules, the fighting to see who goes first, and you can win in the middle of a turn. That stuff's just, they could have written it on the internet. Doesn't really add much to the game either way, and I probably won't play with those. The new cards and stuff, easy, throw that in. Black tiles, definitely. Every single game, even with new players, I'll play with the black tiles. When I have a hard time deciding what to get, I'll say, well, if you want attacking people, red. If you like defensive, blue. And then take white or black. You know, here's some of the ideas of what the tiles do. Black is not so powerful that everyone is going to take it. I really like it, but even I may not use it in every game. My favorite combo at this point is black, white, and red, because defense is for other people. I'm going to attack. And I do like the fact that this game brings even more into that attacking mode. It encourages you to move your troops, especially with the priest one. But the black one tiles, I like them. They add them, just another variation. It will take up even more table space now, setting all those black tiles. And I do wish that on the internet, and maybe this will happen by the time this video is done or soon, there was a combined player aid. Because we're like, okay, I want to look at the black tile player aid, so we pass that one. Okay, I want to look at the red one, and so you're passing these around. I want to get one player aid that I can print out and give to everybody, because that does slow the game down slightly with all the different choices that players have. I don't mind it, though. It's how much I like this game. The priests, I would play more often than not, say 75% of the time. I don't know that I would teach them to new players. That's maybe just a little bit too much. But if players have played before, to me, it adds a lot of fun to the game. I mean, you're going to be moving around the board anyway. This encourages that movement, which I think is a positive. And then it lets you take the priest. And then you have that whole, do I just move them really quick? Just take these objects and use them in battles? Or do I try to move them farther, get victory points? That's pretty good. Or do I get those priest upgrades, which are so tempting? Now, for me, it's not a choice. I'm getting the upgrades. I'm putting priests out. I love monsters. I get every monster I possibly can in this game, which is probably a weakness, although the monsters are great, and they do help me win, and I've won my fair share of Kemet games, but I can get caught up in the monsters, and now I got mercenaries from the black tiles, but now I got these priests, and these priests, I'm like, ooh, so what do I want this priest to do? I think I'll take the +1 movement, and I'll take this one here, which lets me kill 2 troops, or take a card, or whatever. There's some neat stuff, and I like how they're kind of customizable that way. So that's an intriguing thing. Now, realize it will add to the time that the game takes because players are doing an extra thing. But I think that the level it adds, in fact, I might like this as much as the black pyramids, even though I don't want to add it to every game, because sometimes I want to play a shorter, quicker, meaner game, faster game. But the priest adds that level, more monsters. I'm excited about that. So for me, this is a must-get. If you like Kemet, you definitely want to get this. Kemet's great without it. Okay, this is not a necessary expansion by any means. But adding this gives some more variety. Lets the priests and the black tiles just add a lot of, just cool things to the game. Very glad to have it. Definitely going to be using it very often. Dice Tower Judgment into my collection.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.